Over the past 2 decades, we have witnessed the rise and fall of many first-person shooter games that have attempted to deliver the experience of being a soldier in war. The Battlefield franchise captivated gamers in 2002 with a game that not only had decent infantry combat for its time, but also provided fully drivable and flyable tanks, trucks, airplanes, and ships, even submarines. Then, a year later in 2003, Call of Duty was released and players were treated to a more boots-on-the-ground and cinematic experience through its single-player campaign that made you feel like you were on the set of Saving Private Ryan or Enemy at the Gates. As games progressed through the 2000s and up until a few years ago, the sequels of these franchises as well as simulation and realism games such as Arma, and the mods for Battlefield like Desert Combat, Forgotten Hope, and Project Reality drove the immersive war experience further and further along. Each of these games has its own unique flavor of the simulated combat experience, but one game in particular has rolled up all of the desirable traits of each of these games into one neat package. It might be the best offering we have so far to an immersive soldier simulator. That game is Squad. Hello, I'm Jeff with EUL Gaming, and this is the third installment of the What Is series, where we review and explain exactly what is a game that is not developed by a AAA game studio. In this series, we look at the history of the game, its good and its bad, and then offer a conclusion of our thoughts at the end as well as a final recommendation. So without any further delay, let's get into it. To talk about the history of Squad, we need to go back even further and discuss the Battlefield franchise. More specifically, the Battlefield 2 modding community. At the risk of sounding like a boomer, back in the day, games were much more simple. Sure, by today's standards, the models and textures in Battlefield 1942 and Battlefield 2 could barely pass as a mobile game today, but the code was simpler as well, and oftentimes developers would offer SDKs or modding kits to the communities so they could transform their game into any way they pleased. This manifested itself in both small mod packs that would just change a few textures or add a vehicle or two, to complete game conversion mods that would change nearly every aspect of the core game and hardly any original assets would be reused. I have many fond memories of flying modern jets around the El Alamein map while eagerly awaiting the next development update, or driving an M1 Abrams through the Omaha beach while eagerly awaiting new custom maps for the upcoming mod. As these mods increased in popularity, funding, and indie developer support, they also increased in scope. In 2011, one full conversion mod for Battlefield 2 became very popular, named Project Reality. Project Reality aimed at turning the arcade-style infantry and vehicle game that Battlefield 2 was into a more realism-based simulation game with realistic ballistics, weapons, and squad management features. Then, in October 2014, a Project Reality developer by the name of Will Stahl announced that development was beginning on a new game that was to be the successor of Project Reality, but built as a standalone game and not a mod, and that game was Squad. With a successful initial Kickstarter campaign that generated around $200,000, as well as earning a spot in Steam's Greenlight program, Squad was released as Steam's Early Access program in 2015 and received regular gameplay, content, and bug fix updates over the years. Then, in 2019 and into 2020, Squad began to receive updates at a far greater pace than normal. The writing was on the wall. It looked like Squad was going to avoid becoming yet another forever Early Access titles, it would actually make it to full release. Then, just a few weeks ago from the posting of this video, Squad finally launched as a fully developed title with a long-awaited addition of the Fallujah map as the cherry on top. So that's the history of Squad in a nutshell. Let's talk about what makes Squad so good.
Alright boys, let's go.
Copy that.
RIP the rally. Jeez. Help.
Rat bastard.
We got a rat here, damn it.
Gotta exterminate it.
First bears, now scavs.
What if we get an Overwatch position on these houses here, just right across the street?
That'd be great, actually.
Oh, right in the window. Oh my god, I'm fucking good. Shut up, put them in the windows,
They're on the
Oh shit, a team
Send a
killed.
GL on the attack mark.
Alright.
Oh, you got it. Let's go.
I'll get
Oh,
you, son!
There's a whole bunch of infantry on grid marker Foxtrot 842.
Thank you.
Gotta clear this bitch.
They're in here, they're in here!
Copy, we're coming.
Got him, clear, clear, clear. I'm hurt. Oh god damn it, not clear!
Jesus.
My bad.
Squad is unique in that it delivers an immersive combat experience without relying too heavily on graphical fidelity to make you feel in the moment. Rather, the completely organic and spontaneous experiences while playing the game can leave your heart racing and make you feel absolutely exhilarated as an RPG strikes the lead vehicle in your convoy, and your squad leader is yelling at you to dismount as the world around you erupts in a cacophony of gunfire and explosions as you try to survive what you now realize is a well-crafted and organized ambush. If I had to come up with one unique quality of Squad that rises above all others, it would absolutely be the team play. Let's face it, it's hard to get a few strangers in an online game to cooperate, let alone an entire team of 50 people. But in Squad, that is precisely what players are there for. I don't think there's any other game that I've played in which you can get together such a large amount of players and actually have them mostly want to work with each other. Beyond that, Squad offers a unique opportunity to find out who you really are. And what I mean by that is that you can actually use this game to find out if you have a leader or follower type personality. Yes, in Squad, it's no surprise that your team is broken up into, well, squads. And each of those squads can only be started by a person willing to be a squad leader. And unlike other FPS games, being a squad leader doesn't just mean that you get a better gun or maybe a few extra grenades. Being a squad leader in Squad actually comes with real responsibility. You are expected to organize the 8 other players that join your squad, direct their movements, communicate with other squad leaders to coordinate your movements, relay requests and movements to the commander, set rally points, which are temporary spawn points for your squad, mark enemy unit types and their assumed trajectory, set up and place build orders for forward operating bases or FOBs, direct what kind of and how much logistical supplies you need. You get the point. Squad leaders wear a lot of different hats. If you are not the leader type of personality, this type of role will sap all of the fun out of the game. Instead, it will feel overwhelming, confusing, and frustrating. And when a squad is directed by a bad squad leader, the entire squad isn't going to have much fun either. They will be confused and unorganized. Your squad will start spawning wherever they feel like it, and you will not be able to mount an effective assault or defense. If leadership isn't your thing, you're in luck because Squad is chock full of soldier classes for everyone else to play as. I'd recommend starting out as a medic as it's easy to learn and almost always sorely needed. You can take a slightly backseat approach to the game as a medic and still be near the firefights, but not be the first guy in. Other than that, you have the standard rifleman, which typically has an assortment of different weapon loadouts depending on your needs, light machine gunners, light and heavy anti-tank classes, marksman, engineer, and several others. There are also some unique loadouts depending on the map or faction you're fighting for. Squad includes the concept of asymmetrical warfare when a Western army is fighting against insurgents, for example. And they have additional classes such as raiders, equipment such as the IEDs, and unique gameplay mechanics such as being able to construct 2 spawn bunkers per fob. Speaking of fobs, one of the more unique aspects of Squad is that you can somewhat modify the map around you with the ability to construct weapons and defenses within the borders of a fob. As soon as a radio is placed, a fob can be supplied via trucks or helicopters with construction and ammunition supplies. And yes, a real player has to physically go pick up supplies from your main HQ and drive it to the fob and then unload it. But once you have these supplies, any squad leader can construct bunkers, sandbags, roadblocks, razor wire, machine gun nests, wire-guided missile launchers, anti-aircraft guns, anti-tank guns, you name it. You can freely place and rotate these objects, and I've seen some seriously impressive super fobs built that can take a punishing beating from the enemy before it finally falls, if it even falls. So once you're in a squad, you may be attacking or defending key locations on a map. In some game modes, you can play a tug of war where you can lose, then recapture these strategic points, but my favorite game mode is Invasion. In this game mode, defenders hold all points. Once the attacker takes a point, it cannot be taken back. Attackers win if they capture all points, or either side can win if all reinforcement tickets are drained. I like Invasion so much, I play on an Invasion-only server. The server is called Easy Company, and it's owned by my friend Ash. If you're looking for a good Invasion server, or just looking to try out Squad for the first time, check them out. A link is in the description. And lastly, visual effects. Squad runs on Unreal Engine 4, and I'd say it's pretty standard fare for the game that began development in 2015 on that particular engine. Also, at the scale Squad runs on. The maps are very large, with 100 players per map, so unless you want your CPU to catch on fire, I'm sure they need to scale things back a bit. Well, there's no stunning vistas or overly impressive models or textures that are going to blow you away. They are fairly decent, but the effects can sometimes be incredible. When a rocket hits a tank and the tracks fall off, it's quite a sight to behold. And explosions from mortars or artillery have a visible shockwave effect that's pretty dang incredible. But if there was one aspect of Squad that is above all others in terms of technical achievements, it is by far its sound design. The sounds in Squad are very, very good. They are highly realistic, and it's the best to play this game somewhat loud. If you find the graphics to be unconvincing in Squad, once you are being hit with artillery and mortars and heavy machine guns are chattering away with their bullets whizzing all around you, I promise you, you will be immersed in this experience. When I first picked up this game, I was defending a little village on the Al Basra map with one of my former employees who was a US Army combat veteran in Iraq and Afghanistan watch me play. He said it looked really incredible with all the explosions, and I told him to put on the headset and listen. After listening for a few seconds, he said, "That sounds exactly like a real firefight," and so I rest my case. So we've covered about all the positive things about Squad, but not everything's all rainbows and sunshine. Let's get into the downsides of Squad. Fortunately, this part won't be too long, but it's worth considering if you're looking into this type of game. We should first start off with one of the issues that seems to plague pretty much every single multiplayer FPS game these days: network performance. Squad has made its fair share of network improvements over the years, and it's in no way an unplayable state, but you will notice sometimes significant network issues from time to time. Player desync can happen quite often, where a player rubber bands from where the server thought they were to where they actually were. Some players can experience lag, and sometimes entire servers can suffer from significant lag or packet loss, or even crash a server completely. Even after its 1.0 release, it seems like this is still an ongoing issue. Like all of my other What Is series videos, you can see this is not just an issue with Squad. It's almost all multiplayer games. I think we are seeing an advancement in graphical fidelity, and game complexity is increasing at a much higher rate than network performance code or infrastructure can support. I'm not really sure what the solution to this problem is, but hopefully we see a major breakthrough soon. In terms of gameplay, I mentioned earlier the importance and responsibilities of squad leaders. The very thing that can make Squad an immersive and engaging experience can also ruin it, and that is bad squad leaders. All too often, an inexperienced or unresponsible squad leader will start a new squad just to get into the action fast. He has no desire to actually lead a squad, or worse yet, will randomly drop out of the squad or pass on leadership to someone who didn't want it to begin with. This can lead to confusing and frustrating experiences that can ruin an entire match. And sometimes matches can last 2 hours with nobody really willing to step up and take leadership. If enough of the squads on your team is doing this, have fun dying repeatedly with no direction, and almost nothing you can do will save the match. In addition to these squad leader problems, sometimes your game is going great, but then all of a sudden one of your fobs disappears. or a friendly high-value vehicle just blows up or crashes with no enemies in sight. And that's because it's also not uncommon to encounter griefers in public squad lobbies. For some reason, there's some players that get enjoyment from the rage-filled monologues that pop up in chat more than actually surrounding and overcoming an enemy. These guys will plant bombs on friendly radios, destroy FOBs, or purposely crash a helicopter full of troops, or track a friendly Abrams, and of course all while blasting terrible music through squad comms. For a squad match to play out as it should, the server you play on should have at least one admin present that is babysitting everyone and watching out for cheaters, griefers, and team killers. This is just another reason why I'm advocating playing on the Easy Company server. There's always an admin present. And lastly, the Unreal Engine. I might generate a ton of hate for saying this, but I'm just not really a big fan of the Unreal Engine 4. Yes, I know that amazing games have been produced on this engine, and I know that can be a powerhouse foundation for the building of your game. But unfortunately, most of the titles I've played on it have been a buggy mess for years and years until they finally get it right, and even at that point, it's not really all fixed. In Squad, the graphics are decent, but like I said earlier, that is to be expected. Instead, there are numerous strange glitches you are likely to encounter. If you hit a bump in the wrong way, even in a massive T-72 tank, you can be inexplicably flung into the stratosphere. Sometimes objects will glitch and become massive, towering over the map like some kind of monolithic deity. Ragdoll physics are almost always strange and inhuman. And well, you get the idea. These are game-breaking bugs, and thankfully the worst ones happen relatively infrequently, but if you are looking into Squad for immersion, these immersion-breaking bugs can pull you right out of that feeling for the uninitiated. So, with all of these considerations, what is my opinion on Squad, and would I recommend it? Well, the answer is yes. If you're looking for an accessible military FPS sim type of game, Squad is probably the best option out there. Arma and others can sometimes be a bit too complicated for most folks, and Squad really drives this home with its outstanding audio fidelity and the dedicated community behind the game that makes for a fun and immersive experience nearly every time you play it. Gameplay can be slow at times, so keep that in mind if you're looking for an FPS game with constant action and instant respawns. If you want to get into Squad, now is the time. The game regularly goes on sale and it's normally around $40, but apparently the game is about to get a permanent price increase soon, so don't delay if you're interested in picking it up. Also, it's worth mentioning that Offworld Industries, who are the developers, make a similar sister game to Squad called Postscriptum, which has the theme of World War II. It's quite a ways behind Squad in terms of development, but if you're a World War II connoisseur, go check it out. I hope that Offworld keeps up the momentum with the release of Squad, and I know it's probably premature to talk about this, but I'm interested in what perhaps a Squad 2 would look like and feel like on next-gen engines, and with all of that development experience now under their belts. And this concludes yet another What Is video. And by the way, did you know that I'm now streaming on Twitch? Come swing by and check it out if you'd like. A link is in the description. If you'd like to hang out with me and other members of EUL, swing by our Discord. Also in the description. If you like this video, a thumbs up would really help our channel grow. And I'm interested to see what you guys think of Squad, so let me know in the comments. I'm Jeff, and thanks for watching.